Movie star Sam Neill, stop cathedral restoration and build interfaith hub. April the 5th, 2019. Movie star Sam Neill has joined calls to dismantle the old wreck of Christ Church Cathedral and replace it with a dynamic social hub. Neill, best known for his roles in hit movies Jurassic Park and Hunt for the Wilderpeople, wrote in an opinion piece for Stuff that a new interfaith hub on the cathedral site would symbolise a different current Christchurch after the March 15th mosque terror attack. Let's quietly and respectfully dismantle the old wreck, sad as that may be for many, he wrote. Let us make an entirely new start. It would cost far less and mean so much more, a real heart in the very centre of a great resurgent city, and make Christchurch a byword for a new world. Neill joins former Christchurch man and Barclay's Capital Vice Chairman Ewan Harkness and Professor of History at the University of Canterbury, Katie Pickles, in calling for a new interfaith hub to be built in Cathedral Square. A deal to restore the cathedral was signed between the government restoration campaigners and the Anglican Church in 2018 after 7 years of divisive debate and legal challenge. Neill said the cathedral was never great. It was too small, too pedestrian, and ultimately a pale pastiche of another time and place, English Victorian Gothic. From its very foundation there was something slightly wrong with this cathedral. Canterbury was found as a Church of England colony. Dominant in its centre was this Anglican place of worship. Unfortunately, it was never just a church, but a symbol of the Anglican establishment and the hierarchical structure that was deliberately imported from Great Britain class by class. Interfaith Dialogue. The Press, 8th of April 2019. Sam Neill has joined the chorus calling to replace the Christ Church Cathedral with a new interfaith centre. For such people, the cathedral is a relic of English colonialism that must disappear to enter this new interfaith moment. Christians, including Anglicans, also lament the inherent violence of our colonial past and want a society with a greater diversity. We should be mindful that the secular project has an unexamined colonising tendency that is slightly at odds with itself. Differences between faiths are as important as our shared values. It is difference that produces the diversity we are being invited to celebrate and make space for. Sam Neill, however, perhaps inadvertently offers common ground for interfaith dialogue. Let us begin with the question: how would you respond if a celebrity, history professor, and businessman said your synagogue, mosque, cathedral, or temple was a relic that should be replaced with an interfaith centre? Reverend Andrew MacDonald, Church of the Good Shepherd, Lake Tekapo.
Michael, is Michael here? Yeah, oh, yeah. G'day. G'day, mate. And you're by yourself, I understand.
I am actually.
Yeah, that's fine.
Firstly, I'd just like to pass on apologies for Dr. Mazza Syed from ARA and also Jaffa Khan, who's teaching today. Mazza is a one family matter and has been called back to India. So you're just going to have to put up with me for a few minutes, but I'll try and keep it pretty concise.
We'll grin and bear it.
Okay, thank you for your indulgence.
Good on you. Thank you for making
Appreciate that. Okay. Well, I'm assuming you have a brief here with the submission information. I've made a few submissions over a variety of fields, and I don't really feel I can do justice to them in a general sense. So I'm going to focus on a proposal that relates to the Art Centre and also a kind of secular memorialisation and a gesture of hospitality towards the Islamic community in Christchurch. So I think I'll leave aside the temporary urban activation and the WSP Greater Christchurch Mass Rapid Transit Plan though I do have, I would like to continue that conversation, particularly in regards to the district plan overlay, in regards to future stops and density and complexity in terms of residential planning and the kinds of attractors and centres that would benefit that in regards to both government, local government and investor mixes. But that's a big conversation and it's a big forward-thinking one. So I'll just park that one there and we'll get on to this now. I'm just going to read out, for the sake of concision, what I've got here, just so it's quite clear what the intent is. We wish to propose a permanent architectural installation within the Christchurch Arts Centre. I was previously involved in concept design for an Islamic cultural centre and a March event memorialisation involving augmented reality for geocaching in Hagley Park. I also consider myself to be a stakeholder in the Arts Centre, living quite close, in fact. I understand there are complex considerations around Arts Centre funding for future changes, especially to the vendor fee structure. In my opinion, the outdoor space is underactivated for commercial purposes. I have consulted with the Arts Centre, Mana Whenua, and the Islamic community of Christchurch over this project. It was the Christchurch City Council Heritage team that suggested that the present void space between the electrical engineering building, built in 1902, and the engineering extension would be an excellent candidate for our proposal. This would undoubtedly be a scalable proposal. The project renders, yes, you may recognise the space somewhat transformed in this instance, yes. Yes. The project renders are a starting point for conversation. An architectural intervention, such as column capital embedded in the building fabric, would be on the small end of the scale. Perhaps more ambitiously, on the larger end, a colonnaded courtyard with rentable stalls and commensurate vendor rental costs would be a sustainable plan moving forward, I suggest. The objective is to create a secular space emphasising the historical links between Islamic and Gothic architecture whilst respecting the Art Centre's basalt and sandstone Gothic style. Materials such as available Gothic revival and caustic tiles could be employed in a subtle but evocative manner. The conceptual goal would be to illustrate they are us through the affinity between architectural styles, one that might only be recognised by an educated eye, and thus create a point of meditation on shared heritage and historical exchange, ideally signalling both that it's sympathetic and also signalling a permanent reorientation in the hospitality of the building. The idea came to me when reflecting on a time that I lived in an Orthodox monastery in Sinai of Egypt, known as St. Catherine's. Over the last 1400 years, a strong relationship had been formed between the mostly Greek-speaking monks and the Bedouin, so that a small mosque was built inside the stone walls of the monastery. With respects to execution, close engagement with local architects and the Ara Institute has been mooted, and design inputs from Mana Whenua are deemed to be essential. In regards to community engagement, such a project could be executed by a master in residence. They have apartments for just the sort of thing on site at the Art Centre, which the Art Centre management approves of. The occasion could be used for training local stonemasons or allied craft persons who are already very skilled within their own field, but just within the particular generative design processes that one might typically find in Islamic architecture. And also further workshops and community activation around the project potentially. So that's my few minutes on Soapbox. Thank you for indulging me. Appreciate it.
Thank you very, very much. Perfect timing. Thank you. We haven't got time for questions, but thank you for coming in.
Sure. And there's a few more renders just in regards to potentially what the project would look like. And so the space is principally derelict and empty, and it's a brick facade at present. And I would probably be in favour of ditching the water feature and opening up for market stall vendors. And so there's a little bit of an ending image of compare and contrast in terms of what the prison space looks like, and potential forms of transforming that. So thank you very much for your time. I do appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Thank you very much. Okay, Terry, please.
Phil, I need